there could be another round of hats and T-shirts handed out on Sunday night when Washington visits Philadelphia, the Washington football team, hoping to win and get in to the postseason as the NFC East champions. They will be doing so without quarterback Dwayne Haskins, not just on the field, but on the roster. This was a stunner yesterday. I mean, we kind of knew after the strip club COVID-19 protocol breach last week that resulted in a $40,000 fine and a removal of the C from his jersey. He had the pledge pin taken off of his uniform by Ron Rivera. We knew that Haskins was going to be gone after 2020. We didn't expect it to happen during the 2020 season. But after Sunday, and something happened Sunday night. I don't know what. I don't know, and I think it was precipitated by his effort to skip out on the post-game media obligation and their effort to wrangle him to actually honor that commitment.
Right.
Something
and where did
happened
he do
that
that
caused
post-game?
them to say enough.
Did you notice that too in the postgame? Where was he? Like, did he finally end up doing it at home? Is that where he ended up doing it from? Right.
He probably was at home.
Right, because I know he had skirted
right, because he left.
Yeah, that's right. I watched it yesterday, and it was not a team facility background or anything like that. But I'm with you. I'm sorry to interrupt right there. There definitely must have something gone down there. You're right.
Something happened that caused them to say, screw it. We could have held him into the offseason. We could have tried to trade him. Urban Meyer may get back in the NFL. There was a Sunday Splash report that Urban Meyer is being courted by at least two teams, and he's going to make a decision this week as to whether or not he's going to come back. If he would go to the Lions, where Chris Spielman, who has a very high opinion of Urban Meyer, is now whispering into the ear of ownership, if he goes to the Lions and they move on from Matthew Stafford, why not get Dwayne Haskins, right? So Washington could have held him, and you could argue should have held him, with the opportunity to trade him and avoid $4.2 million in guaranteed salary he's due to make in 2021 and 2022. Whatever it was, caused them to decide it's not worth it. The best interests of the team are to get this guy out of here now. We got to write a check at some point for $4.2 million, so be it. Although I think they have a decent argument under his contract that they could possibly avoid that money given his behavior that precipitated the termination. But the hell with it. We have to move on. We're better off moving on. That tells you whatever it was that occurred was going to make it impossible for him to go back into the locker room for the coaching staff to accept him on that team.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they came to the point where they just went, this is not going to work. There's no chance of it working here. And, you know, the young man's got to find a new place and a new beginning altogether and kind of do some self-reflecting and figure out what direction he wants to take his NFL career here. You know, listen, we saw some good things this offseason. We saw work ethic. You see he lost some weight. He definitely looks different on the field in his uniform, more trim, more athletic running. Okay, those are positives, but there's just too many other things that are negative. You know, whether it's the actions, then to me, this is why they probably released them. I mean, last week, it's playoff football. It's do or die for the Washington football team. And the main topic that the team had to talk about for the first 4 days of last week was their quarterback, strip club, party, whatever, all of that crap. And listen, it's one thing to have somebody on the team who did that. It's a whole nother thing when it's your freaking franchise quarterback. That takes the locker room by storm. Everybody's going to be talking about that. That's going to become an issue, let alone we've seen a whole bunch of other immature actions, you know, off the field, on the field, all of it, to where I think they just realized, hey, let's cut the cord. It is a distraction. We don't believe in the player. We're going to move forward with our organization, and they'll reassess the QB situation as they go.
May 1997 is when he was born. He's 23 years old. It's a combination of young and a little stupid, a little immature, a little stupid, and a little entitled. That 15th overall pick in the draft, it came with a $14 million fully guaranteed contract. It's not like it was back in the days of Ryan Leaf where the guy became untouchable. Obviously, he's not untouchable, but that was one of the problems with the old way they paid rookies. You would have guys top 10, top 15. They could do whatever they wanted, and there was nothing the team could do because it was going to wreak havoc on their salary cap to let that much money walk out the door with the player if they cut him. Well, now we see in this day and age, you can rip the Band-Aid off. You can say, get the hell out of here, even though they've paid him 10 and they owe him another 4.2 if it comes to that, and it quite possibly will. But it was better to just get him out of there, Chris. And, I credit Ron Rivera for being decisive and for sending a message. Because if you do have the locker room turning on the guy after what happened last week, and then he didn't play well on Sunday, and if you're going to get redemption, you earn redemption by showing up and playing well. And then there's this constant stream of apologies from the guy. He's perfected the art of the apology.
Yeah.
But you have to keep apologizing. Maybe that's why he's so good at apologies. He's so used to doing things that require him to apologize. The apologies seem sincere, but then the behavior doesn't change. And that's going to be the warning sign for anyone who signs him in the offseason. No one's going to claim his contract on waivers. Nobody's going to mess with him as a free agent this year. I'd be stunned by that in the postseason if somebody brings him in. The question for next year is, can you trust him? And I think if Urban Meyer gets back in, how do you not connect those two? Because he was good at Ohio State. He was great at Ohio State.
Sure.
He just came into the NFL maybe a little too young. Maybe he should have stayed at Ohio State one more year in hindsight. I always say go get paid while you can. Maybe this is an example of somebody who should have maybe waited one more year.
Well, yeah, listen, the big thing is he's young, like you're saying. Dwayne Haskins, you still got a chance here. It's not over. You still got a chance. Keep fighting the good fight, and you could still salvage your career and be something. I mean, definitely. He's not going to go somewhere and get, anointed or handed a job to be the starter. He's going to have to work to be a backup quarterback right now in the NFL. But I wouldn't think there's some teams that take a chance on him, whether it's Urban Meyer. The guy is big. He does have a strong arm. You do see throws on film when you watch where you go, man, that ball popped out of his hand. That looked pretty damn good. Hey, Pittsburgh Steelers, what would it hurt to bring him in the offseason? Maybe he can be something down the road, after Big Ben. Who knows? I don't know. I think there's going to be opportunities for at least teams to look at him. But I think the last thing you said, Mike, is the point, really. It was a weird circumstance for Dwayne Haskins. He only played 1 year of college football. He was very young. He is still very young. He was on a really good football team that from the quarterback aspect played the game very simple. I mean, really simple. And so not only is he a young human being off the field, he really young as well as far as football knowledge, experience, things like that. Ohio State was so good, Mike. They didn't, and still are, but they don't have to do a lot on offense. Hey, we're going to keep 6 or 7 guys in the block. We're going to send 2 or 3 receivers down. You don't really have to look at protection. We just want you to look at that guy who's better than the guy covering him, or that guy who's better than the guy covering him. And when he's open, throw it to him. Okay, easy enough. All right, big guy makes the throw. Oh, here's a screen to Paris Campbell. He runs for 80-yard touchdown. So it was all of that. The combination of all of it, I think, really put him in a tough spot. And, yeah, obviously he was not ready for prime time.
You got my attention when you mentioned the possibility of the Steelers for a couple of reasons. First of all, one of the points of praise for Mike Tomlin with Inside Football is he has that ability to get through to guys, whatever it takes to get through to a guy and to get him to perform. Tomlin knows how to handle those personalities and knows how to manage those personalities. And second, I remember 2019 when we were looking at film and talking about quarterbacks, and there was that narrative that was thrown out there recklessly that Dwayne Haskins isn't mobile. Just because a guy doesn't run the ball down the field doesn't mean he's not mobile. And some of the stuff that we saw him doing behind the line of scrimmage,
Big Ben-ish.
Kind of like Big Ben stuff.
Right.
Yeah, moving around, buying time, moving laterally, waiting for a guy to get open, getting rid of the football, having that awareness, that presence, that ability to extend plays without taking off and running the ball. They've got to do something. And there is no magic easy answer, as Washington found out by using the 15th overall pick on Dwayne Haskins. But if you can get this guy for peanuts and you can get him into your building and you can develop him to be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger, who they may need as soon as next year based upon how Roethlisberger's looked this year, you may be onto something there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not going to be something where you bring him in to go, okay, we need him as a backup right now. Right. No, you bring him in to be, hey, he's a third stringer that we think maybe by the end of the 2021 season could be the backup, and maybe by 2022 or 2023 can be our starting quarterback. I would think there's a number of teams that at least delve down the wormhole of doing the research on Haskins and seeing if maybe there's a way he can fit on their football team. I would think, again, I just throwing out possibilities. Hey, for him to go sit behind a guy like Deshaun Watson in Houston and maybe the, second, third string quarterback. Those are the things he needs to be behind a guy, a pro, and really learn from him, see what it takes, take a back seat, not have the pressure of being the franchise guy or being expected to play anytime soon. He just needs to grow in all areas of life. And I think he's capable. You hear too many people talk, and say good things about Dwayne Haskins, as far as a person. This is not a bad guy. It's not a bad guy by any stretch of the imagination. That's one thing I heard in the draft. You hear Urban Meyer, he still talks very highly of him. I just think it's a young kid who's gotten mixed up. He's lost his way a little bit, and he's just got to get it back on the straight and narrow and realize, man, when you play quarterback in the NFL, it's you sacrifice everything. That's just the way it is. You sacrifice everything. Life is not normal. It's not. Yeah, it's going to be a little boring at times, but you're sacrificing that to have the most amazing Sunday afternoons 16 times a year that are like you're the rock star. You're the man. And sometimes you got to sacrifice not going to the strip club on a Sunday night or something like that.
Well, and also you need a coach who's invested in Dwayne Haskins. And from the moment Ron Rivera got the job, and you could tell he was ambivalent at best. And was it part of a Jedi mind trick to coax more out of Dwayne Haskins? Maybe it was, but Haskins wasn't Rivera's guy. That's a real dynamic in football as well. And Haskins was never a guy that Rivera felt the way that he should about. And so you need someone that's going to say, we're going to take the time. We see where the future is. We're going to groom this guy. We're going to do everything we need to do. We're all in with him. And he needs that kind of attention, and he needs that kind of guidance, and he needs that kind of leadership in order to draw out of him what may be in there.
Yeah,
but
right.
This is one of the products of coming to the NFL at a very young age. After only 1 year of starting, you need to be groomed. Some guys can figure it out on their own. Some guys need to be shown what they need to do, Chris.
Yeah, well, think about it. I mean, we've seen Mahomes learn from Alex Smith. We've seen Rodgers learn from Brett Favre. You saw Brady get behind Bledsoe, and he was groomed as well. A lot of great quarterbacks. Terry Bradshaw, same thing, all of that. And, Mike, here's the other thing, too, because you're right. You got to get a support staff that believes in you. Did anybody ever really believe in him in Washington? Really? Anybody? From day one?
Other than the owner.
And there's the problem. There we go. We got the owner picking players again. Running businesses, billionaire, gonna pick the damn quarterback. Nope, the coaches, the guys who know more than you about the subject, they don't love him, but you're gonna take him because why? He went to high school at the same high school your son went to? That's where I feel bad for Dwayne Haskins, and I don't feel bad for Dan Snyder and the Washington organization because it's always crap like that. And it's hard to get behind it. And now they're in a tough spot, but damn, they made their bed, and now you got to lay in it. And I feel bad for Ron Rivera because now he's got to deal with it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.